Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports, part of the BSing Network. This is a throwback episode, ladies and gentlemen, because as you may remember, we have Tim back on. Well, I have Tim back on because Bill is not here with me tonight. Thank you for being able to join me, Tim. Yes, my layout looks a little different. Just got a new house. We'll get it all set up and squared away when I get the time to. Tim, glad to have you back, man. Do you want to give everybody all the positive update in your life? Tell them about how I'm a grandpa.
Oh, get the hell out of here. I mean, you've been a grandpa because Jake's my son, so that makes sense. But
that's true. But
my lovely wife gave birth to our son about 3 weeks ago. Feels good to be a dad.
Little Lucas, Matthew, how is dad life? You've been busy, tired, both?
Tired. He don't let us sleep at night. This is where I make most of my picks.
During the day, at least.
No, I try not to because I would like to sleep at night, but I do. But at night is when I make most of my picks.
You got to get to sleep in when you can.
Yeah, at night is when I make most of my picks for this. So if it's bad, I blame the sleepless nights.
Yep. Ken Brandt comments, "Welcome to parenthood." Yeah, he's well versed in that. He's had a kid or two in his life, but
only 5.
We're not here really to talk about kids. Just wanted to spread some positivity. So yeah, it's a throwback episode. So we got some throwback jerseys on. We've got Tim with his two shaded Brian Dawkins on. I've got a Colts Marvin Harrison jersey on. I also have Brian Dawkins. I just wanted to add a little bit of color and theme to the show. Week 2 predictions. So first off, let's recap how week 1 went. Yeah. Let's recap just the general standings of week 1. So we're doing it a little bit different this year between the four of us. We are collectively weighting 3 categories all the same. We have the straight up pick, we have against the spread, and we have over under. Tim actually, comparatively speaking to the competition's doing pretty well. He sat at 500. He went 24-24 between those 3 categories the first week. Myself, I'm in 3rd place, which I guess is the silver lining in the cloud, but it was not a good week. I am sitting at 17-31. As you saw in the caption, or maybe not saw in the caption, Bill, the reigning champ, who was suspect of cheating last year, conveniently now that he's not doing the grid, is in last place. And the newcomer Jake had some big every week. We were on him about cheating for no reason at all. And the newcomer Jake, with some beginner's luck there, he's the only one that finished week 1 over 500 at 25-23. So as you can see, there's going to be a lot of collective quote unquote games throughout the week. So me being 17-31 right now, it looks a little bleak that I'm 8 games back, but there's all the worlds of potential to catch up very easily.
So you still got 16 weeks.
I have 17 weeks actually. There's 18 weeks in the season.
Yep, 5 weeks and shit.
So that is the recap of week 1. Bill at the bottom with a 333 winning percentage, me with a 354, Timmy at 500, and Jake at a 521. Week 2 has already kicked off. Bill already on the up and up. He is 2-1. Everybody else is 1-2. Because of the scenario that happened with the Thursday night game where the spread was -6 and the game ended up being a 6-point difference, from week 3 forward, we have decided to implement a half-point rule where all the over-unders and spreads have to end in half a point, because that is the second time in 2 weeks that we have had a game go flush. And, if that happens once a week, that's 18 games that could potentially swing the standings there. So we decided to implement a half-point rule so that way there's no flush. It either happens or it doesn't. So Tim, you started out 1-2. I started out 1-2. We both got the spread and the over-under wrong. Bill got everybody got the spread wrong, but Bill got the over-under and the straight up right. And Jake picked Kirk Cousins in prime time to win a game. That was a confusing.
He sounds like a drinker to me.
He's an Eagles hater.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. So the next game we have on the docket is the Raiders at the Bills. The Bills are giving 9 points over under 47. This would be a great scenario for the half-point rule. However, 9 points is not a very common spread anyway. So Bill has the Bills not covering in the under. Jake has the Bills covering in the under. Tim, you also picked the Bills.
Yeah, I took the Bills to cover. I think last week with the fluke with Josh Allen, he, like you said last week in the group chat between us, the four guys, yeah, Josh Allen had 2 bad games last year, and they were both against the Jets. And he started off with a bad game against the Jets. I think he comes out on fire this week. And I think they're going to cover and go over the 49.
Yeah, especially because the Raiders defense, yes, they held the Broncos to 17 points, but looking at the Broncos since the Russell Wilson era has begun, holding them to 16 points doesn't seem to be that daunting of a task.
Yep.
So
yeah, true.
I do believe that I 100% agree. I think that Josh Allen comes out light in the scoreboard up. However, I think that the Raiders come out, and keep it close. I don't necessarily think this goes over, and I don't think that the Bills cover. 9 points, even at home, is a lot to cover. But I think the Raiders will keep it competitive. I see like a touchdown difference in this game, maybe. But at no point do I believe that the Bills will be in danger to lose this game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Eagles. Like I didn't necessarily think at any point they were going to lose the game. But 6 points, you could have gone either way. And I also have them taking the under. I do think Josh Allen comes out and plays well. However, until we see more from Dalton Kincaid, it's really just Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. I don't think that it'll be extremely offensive.
Played pretty well, though. James Cook played pretty well last week.
He did play pretty well, but I need to see more from him. Like I don't think that they give him enough volume to be that impactful.
Makes sense.
All right. So next game, we have the Ravens at the Bengals. The Bengals are giving 3.5. The over-under is 46.5. Now, for those of you that are just listening to this for the first time, keep in mind when Vegas makes the odds, they generally give 3 point, have the home team giving 3 points to the away team, kind of like a home field advantage type thing on the spread. Mm-hmm. So Vegas is really saying on a neutral site, the Bengals would be giving 0.5 point to the Ravens for whatever that's worth. So Tim, why don't you go ahead and start with your pick, and then I will announce the other 2 picks and mine as well.
So I picked the Bengals to cover and to go over the 46.5. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think a last minute touchdown from Jamar Chase, or maybe a T. Higgins bounce back game. That they both had all 3 main big people for Cincinnati really had a bad game last week. And like Josh Allen, it's a fluke. They play bad against Cleveland all the time. It was really rainy. I'm making up excuses, I know. I hope they come back and do good, but give me the Bengals cover and to go over the points.
Yeah, I also have the Bengals. I do think that they bounce back from an abysmal loss, especially with the injuries that the Ravens have in the secondary. Mm-hmm. However, I do think that the Ravens come out and put up their own fight. I wasn't completely impressed with what I saw in the Bengals defensively, so I do think that this game goes over. But however, where you have a last-second touchdown, I have a last-second field goal. I do not think that the Bengals cover. I think that this being a divisional matchup will be a very close game.
Okay.
Bill has the Bengals to cover and go over, similar to you. And then Jake has the Ravens and the over. So obviously he also has the cover. There's some chance for us to make up ground there. All right, here we go. This one should be interesting. We've got the Chiefs at the Jags. The Jags are 3.5 point home underdogs. The over-under is 51. I'll go first on this one. I have the Chiefs covering and over. This should be a prolific offensive game. I know Chris Jones is back. Travis Kelce's back. So Patrick Mahomes gets his number 1 guy. Yes, the Chiefs only scored 21 points against the Lions last week. However, that was slightly fluky because of the mass amount of drops that they had. They could have easily scored, 28 points.
Those drops are terrible.
terrible. I mean, it was just awful. But the security blanket, Travis Kelce's back, so I do expect them to look like themselves again. And then, to cover 3.5 points isn't a lot. It's not. I can't. I don't see the Jags keeping this within a field goal, even at home. It's just a weird gut feeling that I have. The Jags, however, I do expect them to be prolific on offense as well. So Bill has the Chiefs no cover over, and Jake has the Jags and over. Tim, who do you have?
I thought about this game for a while. I saw it on the docket when I do my CBS Pick'em League, and I thought about it then, and I kept thinking about it. I had the Jags for one, and then I changed it to the Chiefs. I changed it back to the Jags, but I changed it again to the Chiefs. I'm going to the Chiefs to cover and over. I think, like you said, they have a bounce back game. Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. Those two players make a huge difference in both sides of the balls, no matter what. And like you said, a lot of drop passes with big yards against the Lions. That should have won the game. Because Tony was wide open at the 20-yard line. But Butler made that kick easily for the field goal, game-winning field goal. So it was a fluke last week. A lot of flukes last week, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I agree, especially as somebody who, went 17-31, lots and lots of flukes. It was a BS week last week, but we're all looking for bounce backs. Chargers at Titans. We all have the same picks straight across the board here.
yep.
It is looking like no DeAndre Hopkins for Tennessee, no Austin Eckler for the Chargers, however. So which one, since we all have the same pick, Tim, I'll let you go ahead and reveal what we all picked. What's your thought process behind your pick?
We all picked the Chargers to cover and to go over. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Chargers have a better quarterback and
especially after
better
last week,
receivers.
Tannehill looked terrible.
And better receivers. So, yeah, the Titans got King Henry, but the Titans didn't use Derrick Henry at all last week, basically. Like, why not use him? He's 6'6". I don't know what his height is, but he's 250 pounds.
I think he's like 6'2" or 6'3" even.
He bulky, and he's not afraid to run into you. Why aren't you using him? Like, they're trying to get the rookie in, Spears, trying to get him to feel the game. I get it. But every time Derrick Henry got the ball, that's 5-6 yards. Even when he caught the screen passes, they were going for 50 to 20 yards, 20 to 50 yards easy. But I think the way the Chargers came out last week against the Dolphins, they put up a lot of points in that game. I think the Chargers keep that momentum going, and I think they win.
Yeah, the Chargers offensively had a good performance last week. Obviously, lost a very close game to the Dolphins, but with no DeAndre Hopkins out, I'm shocked that we see it through. Or it's not been announced yet. However, DeAndre Hopkins has not practiced all week, so it is very likely that he's just on the wrong side of questionable and will not be playing in this game. However, I just don't think that the Titans are a good team. Like you said, Derrick Henry wasn't used enough last week. Maybe they're trying to save his legs and keep him fresh for the season. But for whatever reason, he's their best offensive playmaker, and he wasn't on the field enough. So we'll have to see that change in combination with Ryan Tannehill doing better than what he did last week. He was not good last week, 3 interceptions. So I don't think that the Titans have it offensively to keep up with the Chargers, who – I think they'll easily cover. I don't think that this will be a close game at all, even without Austin Eckler.
So, question: when do you think the Titans give up on Ryan Tannehill and go to Will Levis?
It'd have to be mid-season. The Jags would have to be taken off with the division, in my opinion, and I think it would be an eye test thing. I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I mean, we're very quick to forget that last healthy season Ryan Tannehill played, the Titans were the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they went 12-5. So,
True.
One bad outing, I'm not super concerned about it. But if this is repeat performances and the offense can't get going, and the Jags are taking off with the division, then this will be a different discussion come midseason. But that's a good question.
Okay.
So I finally made my decision on this next game. We have the Packers and the Falcons. The Falcons are 1 point home underdogs, which I mean is nothing. And then the over-under is 40.5.
I want to hear your
this
thought about
this
it.
one is split. What'd you say, Tim?
I want to hear your thoughts about it, because I've been going back and forth on this one too.
Yeah, so for those of you, obviously you guys don't know, I filled this pick out right before we hopped on live. I had been sitting on this all day, couldn't figure it out, and between the four of us, we are split. 2 of us have the Falcons, 2 of us have the Packers. I decided to go with the Falcons, which means I think they'll also cover, and I actually picked the over. Aaron Jones probably not going to play. Christian Watson showed up limited in practice on Friday, so he might be a game time decision. However, I like the way that the Falcons controlled the game and ran the football. I don't think that the Packers are going to have an answer for that. Now that Jordan Love and the passing offense for the Packers, despite no Christian Watson last week, looked really good. Really good, and it was a big surprise. However, I think the Falcons command this game on the ground. They beat it into them time of possession, and I think that they steal a win here at home.
Okay, I like that train of thought, but I picked the Packers.
Why did you pick Packers?
I think they've been underutilizing AJ Dillon a lot, and I think he's going to have a big game. Like running the ball, big game. Like I don't think that defense is as good as they shown last week to get the rookie quarterback and stuff like that. Like you said, Jordan Love had a great game without Christian Watson. I think he does it again, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. Really might be the answer.
I mean, it was supposed to be the answer for Zach Wilson too.
It should have been. Unfortunately, Rodgers went down with the torn Achilles.
You think he plays again?
I think he comes back next year.
Yeah,
I don't think he's done.
He seems too like egotistical to let it end on that kind of note.
Exactly. Did you see the video when it popped?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Was nasty.
That looked brutal. That looked brutal.
And for him to get back up, that's even worse.
Yeah, and that. Whew. Anyway, Bill picked the Falcons. Jake picked the Packers to cover that spread. I mean, there's no way you can pick them to not cover, right? Like, if whoever you think is going to win, you think they're going to cover the spread. But should be a good game. I think that'll be one of the closer scoring, like better games. Although the over/under does not imply it will be very offensive. I like to think that'll be one of the better games, and that's why we're all split on it. Here's another one of the better games. I am the outlier on this one. We have the Seahawks and the Lions. What?
You might not be for long. A lot of games I've been iffy about.
Yeah, this one should be a good game. It was a fantastic game last year.
That's what I was thinking too. Last year,
the Seahawks and the Lions. The Lions are giving 5 points to the Seahawks, which I'm kind of surprised about. And the over/under is 47. It is the second highest implied scoring game on the docket behind the Chiefs and the Jags. So I picked the Seahawks. Everybody else right now has the Lions. For those of you that do not know, we also changed it to where you can the picks lock at noon tomorrow. You can change your pick at any time before then. I picked the Seahawks. Obviously, I think they'll cover, and I think the game goes over. I think we're all in agreement there. We watched this game last year with these two offenses, especially with the way that they both added offensive talent to their teams. I think that this game goes over quite easily. But I picked the Seahawks because I do think that the Seahawks have a better defense. Now, they did not look good last week at all. And Matthew Stafford had a resurgence. Everybody was down and out on him because of an injury-filled 2022 and all this other stuff. But the Rams look good. I do expect to bounce back from the Seahawks. I think that they have a young defense. I think that they're talented. I think that they're fast. which means that they could make the one or two plays that are going to be crucial to win this game. But all in all, I see a shootout coming.
Yeah, I definitely agree it's going to be a shootout. That's why I picked the Lions right now not to cover, because it's going to be a shootout, 3-point game, I think.
Yeah, all three of you guys have Lions not cover over. So I mean, we're all in agreement that it'll probably be a pretty close game.
Yeah, but now last week when I changed my 2 picks before Sunday football start, I lost both of them. Like I lost all 3 of my things for it too. So
Hey,
I
you
want
said
to
it
go
in
with
the
my
chat.
gut.
You said it in chat yesterday. Trust your gut.
I want to go with my gut, and I'm gonna change mine to the Seahawks. Oh man.
Oh, I don't hate the pick, man. I don't think you can go wrong with this one, truthfully. But
Yeah,
if the Seahawks win, I mean, the only crappy thing about them picking not cover is if the Seahawks win, you only really gain one up. Whereas if one of them picked to cover and the Lions, it's all a strategy. I mean, we're too early to be doing stuff like that. There's so many things that can happen between now and then. But I see Timmy changing his pick now. We just both expect a high scoring game. Well, we all expect a high scoring game, but we're the only two here to speak on it. So next game, now that Timmy has changed his pick, we're going to go Colts at Texans, who are also 1-point home underdogs. The over-under is 39. Vegas is saying that this game will be abysmal offensively. This is one that I was going back and forth on with the over-under, but I'll let Tim go ahead and start out. He picked the same. Yeah,
you 3 have over. I didn't see enough out of the Texans. I saw a lot out of the Colts offense. I didn't see nothing out of the Texans offense. That's why I'm so iffy about the over-under right now.
What up, Tom?
So if I would have saw more last week out of CJ Stroud, and which is questionable to play now.
Yeah, I saw that late shoulder injury.
Yeah. If I would have saw more, that offensive line is so bad. They had no blocking for him. Every play I saw was either holding or him getting sacked.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure who the number one receiver is there. Robert Woods had a lot of targets. Nico Collins had a lot of targets. Yep. And I don't think any one of them. Yeah, I don't think any one of those receivers particularly has the talent to separate themselves. I don't think that they have a good receiving core. So I also picked the Colts here. I think 1-point home underdog is interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I get need to see more out of the Texans. That's why I went with the under. So
yeah, I agree with that, and that's actually why I was going back and forth. Like, I think the Colts win, and I think that they covered, by I would say 10 points or so. But are the Texans going to score enough points to even compete with that? And you might have. I've sat here and I might change my mind. I think I'm going to go the under, because I could easily see this being a 24-10 game, something like that. Now, I was extremely impressed with Anthony Richardson, who we all knew who had the skills to be a good quarterback. However, we expected that to all come together, 2 to 3 years down the road. And I'm not saying that it all pieced together all of a sudden, but he had a very good game in his first NFL start against the Jags, and the Colts were doing something offensively there. So with Zach Moss back, Michael Pittman looking like. Go ahead. I think Tim froze.
I lost internet for a second, maybe.
Yeah, you froze. Go ahead, buddy. What were you gonna say? Ladies and gentlemen, I guess Tim's internet does not want him to get his point out. Anyway, my point is Zach Moss being back. I do expect the Colts offense to continue to build. Shane Steichen, with his previous experience with running quarterbacks, looks like he has built an offense that could potentially tailor to Anthony Richardson's strengths. And Michael Pittman looked like he's, maybe going to be a good receiver this year. Not that he wasn't a good receiver before. All right, Tim, let's try this again. Third time's a charm. What were you going to say about this game?
Oh, man, I totally forgot now. I don't know my internet.
Yeah.
I do know. My dad got.
I'm sorry. I think the old man is taking up all the bandwidth in Tim's house. I think he's going to have to get off the Wi-Fi there for a little bit. Um, anyway, moving on. Bears at Bucks. Buccaneers are giving 2.5 points over under 41. This is right about the time where Jake, when he was creating this, stopped using the space bar. So yeah, it all looks run together. Thanks a lot, Jake. Um, oh, 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 do I hear something? Is it there? Nope. Guys, this face that face that Tim was frozen on was classic. The face you were frozen on
I
was
couldn't see
classic.
it.
I wish I would
Let's
have
go to the next game.
Yeah, I just announced Bears at Bucks, minus 2.5 for the Buccaneers. Over unders 41, and I also said that this is right about where Jake stopped using the space bar, and everything looks kind of run together. So I have the Bucks covering and the under. Especially the Bears offense. I am extremely unimpressed with what I saw last week. And even the Buccaneers, did not put up a ton of points against a Vikings defense that just allowed a 34 spot to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I do not expect a lot of offense in this game. However, I do expect the Bucks to win and cover because I was more impressed with them as a team last week than I was the Bears.
Yeah, I like that. I like that take, but I think the Bears have a bounce back game. I think Justin Fields didn't use his full potential of running like he did last year. Maybe you're trying to prevent an injury like he got late last year or something. And he only targeted DJ Moore twice. So
the first 2 plays of the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like you got to use the weapons you have in that offense. Run the ball nonstop. Your legs are fantastic. You got 3 running backs who can run downhill for you. Use it. I think they figure it out this week and go after the Bucks. I know the Bucks have a good run defense, but I think they figure it out and go. So give me the Bears and over.
Okay, so you think it's a high scoring game too?
Yes.
All right, so Bill has the Buccaneers to cover and over. Jake is on board with me. The Bucks to cover and under. Giants and Cardinals. Cardinals are at home. They're 5.5 point underdogs, and the over/under is 39.5. No love there from Vegas for the Arizona Cardinals. So, Tim, what was your pick for this game and why?
I picked the Giants cover and under. I just don't.
I think it's a safe bet.
They didn't impress me at all last week. They got blown out by the Cowboys 44-0. And the Cardinals, the Cardinals defense saved them against the Commanders. Josh Dobbs didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
So this game don't interest me at all.
Yeah, that was more so the Commanders just making some really boneheaded mistakes too. It wasn't even, and now I'm not going to take all credit away from the Cardinals, but I mean the fumble from Sam Howell is just him not protecting the football when he got sacked, and there was some things that they could have very easily cleaned up. I do expect the Giants to have a bounce back game, and I also expect them to cover because, like you said, the Arizona Cardinals were extremely unimpressive last week, but I expect this game to go over. I expect the Giants to really bounce back because I think
blowout.
I think that the Cardinals kind of had a really above expectations game last week, keeping it close, and I don't see that happening again, even at home. So I'm taking the Giants to Brian Dable to whoop that team into shape and get them right and use this as a bounce back game.
So you're saying I need to pick Saquon Barkley for a DFS team?
It's funny. I almost did that. I almost did it. I almost made a third lineup, but I got a rule this year: two DFS lineups. So this next one kind of reeks of a trap game for me, because one of these teams has 8 consecutive regular season wins over the other. And if you have not picked up on the hint by now, it is the 49ers at the Rams, who are 8 3-point home underdogs despite the 30-13 beating they gave the Seahawks last week. First off, I don't expect the 49ers to cover that because of those 8 wins, I think 6 of them were within 6 points. So I do expect it to be a close game. It's a divisional matchup. The Rams looked a hell of a lot better as a football team last week. I almost picked them to win outright, but I just can't do it because I do think the 49ers are a top 2 team in the NFC, and it's just hard to bet against them. When we're doing something like this, hard to pick against them. But would it absolutely surprise me if this was a trap game? No, not at all.
I like that take. I think the Rams could bounce back and beat the 49ers if they lost like 8 in a row to them.
That was my theory too. It's like those streaks just don't last, right? Like when's that going to end?
But I can see the trap game, but I think the 49ers get the too good of a football team right now. With no Cooper Kupp for the Rams, that's really what did it for me.
Yeah, if Cooper Kupp was in, and also our hashtag Puka Nuke showed up on the injury report this week. However, it sounds like he will play.
Yeah, I think with the abdominal pain or something like that.
Yeah, it's an oblique injury. It's the same oblique injury or similar oblique injury to what Jalen Waddle's been dealing with, and Jalen Waddle's been playing through it. So I would imagine that Puka Nuke's going to be there. Hashtag Puka Nuke. If you're watching this video, go on social media. Hashtag Puka Nuke.
So you think he's still when Cooper Kupp comes back, he's going to be that good still?
That good? No. I don't even think he'll be that good this week. However, I do think he'll have a prominent role in the offense because Puka and Kupp play 2 different roles. I mean, 75% of Puka's snaps were on the outside, and we know Kupp is a slot wide receiver. So there's a lot of potential for them to be on the field at the same time.
I like it. Okay.
But I have the Niners no cover under. I don't necessarily see this as an offensive shootout. 24-17, kind of somewhere in there. Bill has the 49ers no cover over. Jake has the 49ers no cover under. Tim has the 49ers no cover over. So the Brandt brothers have the same pick, and me and my grandson, Jake, have the same pick. Commanders.
I like your take and everything for the over under. I just think it's going to be a high scoring game for me.
Here we go. Let's hear it, buddy. Come on.
Z-Money, I'd like to point out, I picked the Cowboys for everything.
Yeah. I'm the only one here who picked the Giants, and yeah, I'm going to take 100% of the blunt force here. I was wrong. The Cowboys dominated that game. Yada, yada, yada. I turned that game off at the first quarter. I was like, wow, this is awful. I'm going to bed.
After the Barkley interception, I turned it off.
Yeah. Man, dude, he got leveled.
He did get leveled.
He got killed. You'll be happy to know, Z-Money, to fast forward a little bit. I did pick the Cowboys this week.
We all picked the Cowboys this week.
Yes, we did. But first, we have the Commanders at the Broncos. Broncos are 3.5-point favorites at home. I have no idea how. The over-under is 39, which sounds about right. Once again, I'm a little bit different, but Tim, I'll let you go ahead and pick first.
I'm going to be Jake real quick. All right? Give me the Broncos by 41. Coruscant ain't going to have a 100-yard game.
What an awful take. What an awful. For those of you that didn't listen last week, Jake went on and on about how Jaleel McLaughlin was going to have a good game. By the way, he didn't have a single touch in the game, and that Cortland Sutton was going to go for 100 yards. He went for 32. Then he's talking about, if this dude didn't PI him, he would have had 100. The PI was only like 30 yards, bro. When does 32 plus 30 equal 100? And also, it was an uncatchable pass anyway. I'm surprised that they threw a flag on it. But anyway, I wish Jake was here to listen to all that. He's not. I'm sure he'll watch the video later.
But
that was really fun. It was really funny because not only did none of those guys go off, they just straight lost the game.
I'm the only one that picked the Raiders too last week.
I know, man. That's why I'm not making that mistake again this week.
Oh, okay. I think they bounced back there. I didn't like what I seen out of Sam Howell last week, unfortunately. I've had him in a couple of leagues. I would love for him to bounce back and be good. but I need to see more out of Sam Howell. We know what Russell Wilson can do or can't do. So
What
I'm
he
paying
can't do is win.
exactly, but I got the Broncos to cover and to go over the game. I think it's gonna be no defense. I think it's gonna be all offense.
I think so. We know that the Broncos defense is good, right? And their
Mhm.
offense, yes, one game under Sean Payton, but 19 weeks now with Russell Wilson, they've been abysmal. And they're 5
Yeah,
and 13, I think, in those games. So it's just not a good offense. I think we can chalk it up to that this just is not a good offense. Yes, Jerry Judy's going to be back. He's going to be playing. Um, I still think that the Commanders' offense has more potential. Yes, Sam Howell made some mistakes last week, but they have weapons on that side. I like Terry McLaurin. I like Jahan Dotson.
yeah.
I like the way that they utilized Brian Robinson last week. Logan Thomas was even involved a little bit. So I think that the Commanders play well enough on defense that they come out and win this football game. However, where you think it's going to be offensive, I think these offenses both have something to work on, whereas these defenses will take over the game. So I'm going to keep it with the under for now, but I think the Commanders win this game. I'm not betting on the Broncos to win football games until I start to see it more consistent. Like I'm not like I can't sit here and do this over and over and over again. Like what's on paper, what I'm seeing in the game is two very different things. So Broncos are just
No,
not
no.
a good football team. And the
Broncos, not my
Commanders,
pride.
mind you, yes, they finished fourth in the division last year, but they finished fourth in the best division in the NFL and went 8-1. So this is a team that can play football. Here we go. Jets at Cowboys. Cowboys are 9-point favorites at home. Kind of a large spread if you look at it, but at the same time, you could make the argument that it could be bigger with Zach Wilson playing. Over under is 38. I actually think that's a very good over under. But
Two
Tim,
good
you
defenses.
started first last game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the Cowboys winning. I don't think that they're any threat to lose this game, but I don't have them covering the 9-point spread. Kind of like what I was talking about earlier. Like they might win by a touchdown, but there won't be any sort of threat that they're going to lose the game kind of deal.
Yep.
And I have this as the under, surprisingly, because yes, it's not a great over under, but the Jets defense and the Cowboys defenses are legit defenses. Like these are both top 5 defenses in the NFL. I don't expect a lot of scoring to happen, and I think that the Cowboys know that. I expect to see a little bit more run game involvement, kind of just play keep away for the most part. Like, hey, we know we're going to win this game. Let's just pack it in and move on, kind of deal. Avoid mistakes. I expect Dak to, I guess, like you could say, I expect Dak to have a little bit better of a week than he did last week. But truthfully, he didn't have to do anything last week. So the numbers don't tell the whole story. CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott didn't have to do anything last week. So I do expect the Cowboys to win. It'll be a comfortable victory, but I don't expect them to cover. And with the defensive prowess in this game, I don't expect it to go over that 38-point over under.
That's a good point. I forgot the Jets had a good defense. I saw it last week. I don't know what I was thinking.
They are the Achilles heel to Josh Allen, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go change my over to under. Like you said, I think it's gonna be a defensive battle. I got the Cowboys and not to cover. I don't think, like you said, I think they have no chance of losing. I just don't think they're gonna cover the 9 points.
Yeah, so I see defense all day in that game. But yeah, the stat that I brought up to you, Tim, and I brought this up to Davis and Jake as well, is that since the start of last season, Josh Allen has had 3 games where his fantasy points for passing only, did not go above 10. The 3 opponents, the Jets, and the Jets. The Jets defense is Josh Allen's Achilles heel. Next game, Dolphins at Patriots. I seem to be, very pessimistic about the scoring this week because I have the Dolphins, just like everybody else. We all think that the Dolphins are going to cover the 3-point spread. By the way, the Dolphins are 3-point underdogs, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yes, they are.
which is fascinating. That's an easy smash for the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
But I have the under here.
I got the Dolphins and the cover. I just don't. The Patriots have a good defense. They proved that last week against the Eagles. But I think the Eagles had a fluke game also last week. I'm hoping that the fantasy expert, Tyreek Hill, don't show up at all.
No. Whoa. Don't go wishing that bad juju on me now.
All right, I bought 20
Tyreek Hill
points.
needs. You know what? I'll deal with 20. 20's fine.
All right, I can deal with
We
20
don't-
because Devontae Smith put up more than him then. That's all that matters.
I mean, I wouldn't hate against 44-point nuclear performance again.
See, I'm playing my brother-in-law, and I can't have him beat me again. So I gotta beat him.
I feel bad for Bill. I'm out here smacking him around in the first couple weeks of the season.
You bet to smack me around the Friday Night Lights.
I don't know about smack you around. We'll see.
Eckler being out.
If the Bengals, you know, it's funny. I was looking to see if I played against Eckler this week, and I didn't. I guess you had already made the adjustment. So I was like, no, I don't.
I made the adjustment already.
But yeah, you hit the nail right on the head for me. Dolphins, yes, they have a prolific passing offense with the number, arguably number one wide receiver duo in the NFL. However, the Patriots do have a good defense. Still game plan to minimize the damage as best they can, which is why I believe that it stays under. I also don't have a ton of faith in the Pats offense. They had a couple of decent drives against the Eagles, but outside of that, they looked up and down. So I would need to see more consistency from them. Z Money has a couple comments. He said, Eagles look bad against the Pats, but okay against the Vikings. I agree with both of those assessments, actually. It was a tale of two halves for the Eagles for the Eagles offense in Minnesota or against Minnesota. Then he said Cowboys win in the East, baby.
I don't know about all that now.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. The Eagles do have a tough stretch of games, but if they figured it out offensively, then, it's all on Brian Johnson. But yeah, it'll be between the Eagles and the Cowboys.
All right, let's get the last two games out of here.
Yeah, Saints at Panthers. I almost picked the Panthers, and then I remembered what they actually did last week. So Saints at Panthers. Panthers are 3-point home underdogs. Over-unders 39.5. Tim, you are the only person that thinks this game is going to go over 39.5. The rest of us have Saints cover and under. So I just
think, to be honest, I think this is going to be a complete blowout with the Saints scoring 40 points. I think Derek Carr, Michael Thomas.
Okay, Jake, calm down.
I just think Derek Carr figures it out with that offense and they prove it. Jamal Williams going to have a touchdown, maybe two. I think they're going to prove it that, hey, we can be the top team in the South. Let's prove it. That's all I think. I could be absolutely wrong. I'm not going to
think because it's a divisional matchup, it'll be a little bit closer. I don't see a complete blowout. And there are some things that the Saints need to clean up. I don't think that they ran the ball particularly well last week with Jamal Williams. So I do expect this to be a little bit of a defensive battle. Maybe not so much defensive battle as a bit of a sloppy offense battle.
I like that.
Last game on the docket, we are split once again. I like these split games. There's been a couple of them so far. We've got 2 for the Browns, 2 for the Steelers. Everybody thinks that this game's going to go over. The Steelers are 2.5-point home underdogs, and the over/under is 38.5. It's going to be it's got to be one of the most implied lowest scoring Monday night games. I mean, usually those games, put up the points, but so Tim, you had the Steelers and the over. Go ahead.
I just think last week was a terrible game for the Steelers overall, defense-wise. They have a good defense, and they didn't show up against the 49ers for some reason. I think Kenny Pickett had the bounce-back game. Without Deontay Johnson, all right, but to be honest, Allen Robinson didn't look that bad last week with Pickett.
No, he didn't.
After Johnson got hurt. And I'd like to point out, I traded for him a couple of weeks ago.
You traded for him. I sent him to you and no chance too.
Yep. And everyone got mad about it. But if he's putting up 12 points a week, that's the easy flex start, in my opinion.
So Z Money, oh, this is going to be like the old days, baby. We got a fantasy football question. Do I start Pickens against the Browns? I mean, they did lock Chase up. I don't know that they necessarily locked Chase up, as Joe Burrow just did not have a good game. Like it all started with him, and they looked completely out of sync on offense from the get-go. I don't expect that to
Pickens
maintain.
anyway.
I'm not a big Pickens guy for fantasy. He makes a lot of flashy plays, but that doesn't necessarily translate to fantasy points. So what are your other options? I'll go over my pick and why I picked them in the meantime. Go ahead, drop your other options in the comments. So I picked the Browns to cover, and I think that this game goes over. I do think that the Steelers offense bounces back a little bit, like I just alluded to. I do think that the Browns defense is not necessarily as good as the score indicated last week. I think that was more of a failure on the Bengals offense. However, I liked what I saw of the Browns offense. Deshaun Watson did some very good things, especially in some very poor weather conditions. He was running the ball again. Nick Chubb looked fantastic on the ground. And the one thing that Deshaun Watson was doing last week that he's not really known for necessarily is spreading the football around. Elijah Moore got 7 targets. Amari Cooper got his targets. It was going everywhere. And Njoku got his targets. So if he keeps that up, then I have good faith that the Browns will actually do pretty well this year. Z Money says Khalil Herbert, Juju, or Lazard. So Juju and Lazard are mega out for me.
Yeah, you might have to start Pickens at this point.
If it's PPR, I would start Pickens. If it's not, I'm going Herbert.
I like that. Yep.
But hopefully we will be available for start sit tomorrow. I was moving, like I said, bought a house finally, just getting settled in. Finally got my office set up, so maybe we'll be available for start sit tomorrow. Stay posted on Twitter. Tim, thanks for coming back to the show, man. Do you have any comments before we close this out?
Hopefully I can make a couple more down the line. I don't know about next week. You're not going to be here next week, right?
I will not be on next week. My pops and brother-in-law are coming down. We're going to go to the Eagles game in Tampa together, and we're going to spend the weekend together. It's going to be a good time.
Well, have fun with that. I'm jealous for the Tampa game.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I'm jealous. If I drive 2 hours to go watch them lose, I'm going to be pissed.
That's a Monday night game, right?
Yeah, it's the early Monday night game because next week there's 2 Monday night games.
Like this week, that's weird. Why are they doing that?
I guess they're just trying to spread the love out a little bit more. I like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Z Money says, let's go Tuesday. Cowboys. What's up?
So you got off next Tuesday is what you're saying?
No, I might go in late. I don't know. I'll have to
see how you feel.
Yeah, we'll see. But thanks for tuning in to BSing Sports, part of the BSing Network, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night. See you next week.